samadhi. And it's a very important aspect of the Buddha's teachings. Concentration. The 5 factors that you need to develop to make your mind strong. Because when there is concentration, you have peace of mind. It suppresses your hindrances, the defilements. When you have peace of mind, then you have a lot of spiritual joy. Then you have the spiritual joy. Spiritual joy is more enduring, very sustaining. It lasts a long time. It's very pleasant compared to the worldly joy. Worldly joy is very gross, not lasting. Spiritual joy is very lasting. It can last for hours. It can last for days. You are just so happy. Not because you're enjoying things. No, you're happy because there's no defilement. Because there's no agitation. Because there's no fear. Because there's no anger. Because there's no dissatisfaction. Because there's no jealousy. Because your mind is peaceful. There's this spiritual joy. It lasts for a long time. And it's, from this joy comes the happiness, the bliss, spiritual bliss. It's like you are living in heavenly world. Like you are in heaven. Living in this world, but you're in heaven. You see, the whole world is so beautiful. I have a lot of experience in my younger days. Wake up early in the morning and I open the window and I look at the trees. And I say, how beautiful is the world. The tree is so beautiful. The tree has a light of its own and it's shining and so bright. And the whole scenery is so clear. There's no dust there. It's so bright and it's so fantastic and serene. Externally, but actually it is the internally that projects out into the external, because it is so beautiful inside. And the mind is filled with bliss. It's so beautiful inside. And whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you feel is so beautiful. And I was walking outside the garden and the sun was so hot. And I said, wow, how come today is so cooling? My whole body is so cooling, like in Cameron Highland, when I'm right in town in Penang, which is supposed to be a hot day. And I feel my body, it is so cooling. It is very strange. And I look up the sky, and the sun is so bright. And I look into my mind, and I realize, so blissful is my mind. It affects my body. And in the Cetasikas, mental stage, there are buoyancy of mind and body. Buoyancy is bubbling. So with happiness overflowing in the mind, that it overflows onto the body. It's so cooling effect. It's so full of joy. And when people scold you say, huh? You scold me? So funny. It's not funny when you don't have this joy. It's not that funny at all when you're being scolded. But when your joy is so strong, that even being scolded, it sounds funny to you. You still smile and laugh. It's like a 3-year-old boy, child scolding you, and you find it very funny. It's like a baby boy that pulls the mother's hair, and the mother say, wow, my little boy so clever, now can pull mommy's hair. I was in Penang, and I saw this little boy who was very agitated. The mother was holding her. She come to temple. She was very agitated. He was pulling the mother's hand, was crying, and I was looking and looking. And the mother was and then the mother looked at me and then smiled at me. And the mother say, "You see, my little boy so clever. Know how to pull mommy's hair. But if it's another boy, I don't think." The boy is so clever. You put another child there and pull the hair, see what happened. You get probably how many smack on the face. Because the mother is so happy with the boy. So it's so much joy, even pulling her hair. Funny is the mind. The mind is so funny, don't you think so? It's so deep and profound. Only you could understand it, the various types of mental states that combines together to produce that phenomenon. Only when you learn to understand them, then you learn how to motivate, how to lead the mind towards happiness. That is very important. You need to lead the mind towards happiness. It cannot come by itself. It's not automatic. A person is not just born happy or just born sad. Sometimes people say that, I'm like that one, my temper very bad one, I'm born with bad temper one, so don't mess with me. But you're not born with bad temper. No, you make yourself to be bad temper. Nobody is born with bad temper. Now, even though you bring from your past life, some people are very kind. They're very kind. To bring something forward from their past life. But we're not born with that. We're born like that. We have done it in the past life and we carry it forward. Unless you're very lucky, you have a very good karma, everything goes your way. Most of the time, 80% of your life, you get what you want. You're born in a rich family, you got a lot of money, and can do a lot of money with powers. And so life becomes more easy. More easy. You don't have to go to work if you don't want to. You can do a lot of things that you like to do, not things that you don't like to do. And so you're very lucky. And a lot of times such people do not need to listen to Dhamma talk. You don't tell them to come and listen. It's no use because they're quite happy with their life. They don't need them anything more. Because they already get most of the things they want in life. Life flows like a song. Wake up their eyes, they think of things to eat, and they just go and eat. They think of things to buy. There is sales here, sales there, Jusco, sales there, Tesco. Very cheap and sometimes beautiful things, and they buy, and people speak nice words to them. They got a servant in the house cleaning up. Everything's nice, sweep everything nice. Everything is nice. So life is good to them. But there is suffering that always comes with this body. Whenever we are born, the nature that brings the suffering, we have to deal with them. Therefore, we have to deal with our mind, to learn how to deal with our mind, make our mind strong. The moment we are born, we are going towards, we are aging, therefore we're growing old. And as we go aging, then comes a lot of pain, a lot of sicknesses, and of course of dying. That's a process of birth, and it's going towards death. Nobody escaped from that. No kings, no kings, and no rich men, no poor men, male or female, or whatever race. Nobody escaped that. No matter how you pray and beg, nobody could overcome that. So we need to deal with them. When we grow old and we get sick, we got to make our mind strong. If our mind is weak, then we become easily inflicted with a lot of superstition, with a lot of fear, and you run around looking for doctors all the time. We have a lot of fear and a lot of mental pain. So we've got to deal with that. There are some sicknesses that we can overcome by medicine, but we need to seek it. We don't just accept it, we've got to seek for a cure, but we need to apply wisdom. But some cannot be cured, some need to live with it, some we need to live with it, we need some exercise, sometimes we need this and that, so that we don't have to go through so much pain, and dying. Well, we do not have to fear death. Which I always tell them, why do you feel death? You're so old, and you have so much, the body is breaking up, you have so much pain and sicknesses, why do you fear death? Birth is a new mind and body. There's no more pain when you're born again. You don't feel Whenever you move, all the sound there, crick, crack, all over the body. Well, there's a new mind and body. So why do you fear? Why do you cling on to the old body? There's a new body. And the important thing is, make sure you have a good new body, new mind, body. Do good in this life. The rest, take care of itself. Why? Because today is because of the past. And the future will be because of today. Because we make the future. Just as the present, we make it in the past. We are what we are today. The happiness, the peace, the calmness is because we have done training. We have done training in the past. The past even in this life itself. So we are quite okay when we grow old, even if we are alone by ourselves, even we don't have much friends around. It doesn't matter because we know how to deal with our mind. We can direct our mind, initial application. Direct our mind towards a neutral object or nature object of mind and body. And we sustain, we stay there with the nature. We understand that. With understanding, it brings joy, happiness, contentment. And sometimes when we develop focusing and our concentration becomes strong, then we have a lot of bliss. There's no loneliness, there's no agitation, there's no dissatisfaction, there's no blaming. There are people, when they grow old, they have a lot of blaming. They blame this, they blame that, they blame their children, they blame old age. So they blame and blame and blame. But actually, it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. And there's a great volume of what you can read in these 5 factors, and I did not go over it. I go generally and skip over it, so that if you are interested in certain part, then I go detail and I'll explain more. If you want to go, I talk more about the initial for today, right? But you could ask a question on the others. As I said before, these 5 factors of concentration, it is wholesome or unwholesome. If it is wholesome, it leads to calmness, peace, and joy and happiness. But it is unwholesome, it also will lead to happiness and joy. But at the end of it, it leads to pain if it is unwholesome concentration. But there is also piti sukha. There's also joy and happiness. You know, people go for I was once with this Swedish man. He was doing sales, was selling machinery to us, and I was in Penang. We ordered machine from him, and he came, and so we took him out for food and took him one of the restaurants, and we were calling the dishes Chinese like that. We call 10 dishes. It's all set, and he was, of course, he can't refuse. And we want to provide hospitality and what we have Malaysian food and yes, we eat and we eat and we eat and we eat and finally he says, "Wow, Malaysians eat so much." You know, they are used to just grab a bread or just something simple all in one plate and finish in 10-15 minutes. Well, we Chinese, we drink and book slowly, and then after next plate again. They say, "Wow." He says, "Wow." He says, "Wow, Malaysian eat non-stop." Eat the whole day. I say, "Oh, that's what we do. If you have the money." That's what we do. It's not so expensive like Switzerland. One plate is so expensive. Here it's quite cheap. We can afford to do that. We can afford to eat. Now, what I'm saying is, we could have hours of enjoyment just by eating, and we chit-chat and tell a story about the whole world. He goes selling his machine all over the world, and he talk about Japanese, and it's interesting, his stories, how he deal with them, and how he deal with people in various countries and Africa. It was interesting, and we were listening, and we were eating and eating. Yeah, we were concentrating, that's why we can last so long. If we are not enjoying and concentrating, we probably eat like dogs. Tuk, 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 sorry, we got appointment, I got to go. Like that, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, full stop. But we are enjoying, so we eat for hours. Yes, we are concentrated. But it depends, the suffering, sometimes the resultant is very strong when there's strong attachment. But in this case, there's no strong attachment. We enjoy the food, then afterwards finish. But if there's strong attachment to the enjoyment, to the happiness, and if you want it bad and you can't have it, then that is intense pain. So, these 5 factors arises also in unwholesome mind, connected to craving, attachment, to ill will, moha no, ignorance no joy, only equanimity, no joy. So moha don't have strong concentration. They have the accumulation of mental state towards an object. And so you have the 5 factors, and it's good if you direct it to wholesome things. Like today is fantastic. So many hours your mind directed to the Dhamma. It's so fantastic. So you must be sustaining, otherwise you fall asleep. Anybody fall asleep? If you're dozing off, you're not sustaining at all. You're enjoying your sleep. You're not sustaining in listening to the Dhamma. And of course, I make sure you don't fall asleep, so I give you a lot of stories. If I go directly to the book, then you will fall asleep. Go directly from the Abhidhamma book is very tough. They tell you the characteristics, they tell you how it comes about, they tell you the mere reason how it comes about, and when it comes about, what is the reason, what is the reaction when it comes about.